Right. Romandie. So, Romandie. Of course, we didn't have it last year, so we'll have to refresh our memories a bit. 2019, Roglic won. And this is a race which is usually characterised by a time trial at either end, bookending. Prologue at the start, time trial at the end, they're basically the same thing. The prologue to start with is like 4 kilometres long, so not long at all. Well, the contenders are Filippo Ganna, Rowan Dennis, Port, Geraint Thomas, Cavagna, Bissiger, Cavagna, Bevin, Stefan Kung, Czerny, Sagan, Hirschi, Jonas Zagir. It starts in Oran and it ends in Oran. It's just, it's a nice prologue to get everybody going. The kind of day which I'd love to have off work to watch it, but unfortunately, here we are with a job. I can't. So I have to watch the highlights. But, saying I could microanalyze all these time trialists and say what they're good at and what they're not good at, and weather conditions and all that. But quite frankly, that's not me. That's not my kind of style. If you want to see that kind of stuff, probably go and look on Twitter. There's a couple of really good people who will go and take you through all the wind and the technical analysis of the climb and the percentages. But basically, it starts flat and it just goes up at the end like that. I'll probably put the profile in. And, of course, it's just me here, it's not Cam. If I'm putting a name down, it's difficult to say because a lot of them are just very close, and it's gonna literally come down to seconds in my opinion. So I'll give a podium. I'll give a podium prediction. I think Cavagna will win. I think that Ganna will come second, and I think that Pat Bevan will come third. There you go. That's what I think is going to happen on stage 1. The prologue, nice and simple. Stage 1, technically, I guess it's stage 2, but it's stage 1. It's just a lot of laps of the same circuit. From Aigle to Martigny, it's 170 odd kilometres. There are quite a lot of categorised climbs in here, but they're all category 3. They range from 2 to 3 kilometres, 6 to 7%. The kind of day which you'd look at and think, oh, actually that's quite difficult, if a rider might struggle to get over there. I hold that kind of opinion. Somebody who's a pure sprinter will struggle to get over these climbs, but somebody like, let's just say, Sagan, Colbrelli, probably won't have that much of an issue with this. More than likely going to be one of the bunch sprints, maybe the only bunch sprint of the week. So teams will be pretty keen to keep things together. Because it's a circuit, it's just generally a bit easier to keep things together. Teams know where the wind is, they do it multiple times, get a look at the finish. Then it's just a bit more controlled. Given that it's a sprint finish, we'll go through who the sprinters are in this race. Surprisingly, De Koning do not bring a sprinter, so we've got, let's see, UAE have, they've got Ricchesi, but actually I think that Hirschi would probably be a really good option for them. UAE have said that they are going to go 4-stage kind of hunting with Ulissi and Hirschi. I think that if they apply some pressure on the climbs and trying to dislodge some of the sprinters, UAE could certainly reduce the field down enough for Hirschi to stand a chance. Sagan, of course, we mentioned, won a stage in Catalonia. I think that considering that he's preparing for the Giro, he's just going to get better and better with each stage he does. I do believe that Sagan will be good enough to get over these climbs. Matteo Moschetti, maybe. Who else have we got? Sonny Colbrelli, that's a good shout. Dion Smith, another one. Jake Stewart. Gervin Tayson for Lotto Soudal. What about for Israel? Do Israel have anybody? Pat Bevan, maybe, for Israel. DSM, not really. Maggie for EF. And Intermarché have Riccardo Minali, Andrea Pasqualon. Overall, I think that UAE are going to make this hard on the climbs with like Alessandro Covi, with Munoz, with Ulissi, and try and shed things down a bit, which I think will dislodge the likes of a Bauhaus, and will probably dislodge like Andrea Pasqualon and Gerben Tayson a bit, which means I think it's going to be quite a reduced group going to the line here. But I think that Sagan's going to win. Bit of a boring pick, but I do think that he's got the speed, and he'll more than likely be going up against Colbrelli in a sprint in this kind of sense. And so I'll go Sagan first, Colbrelli second, and I will go with who's going to come third. I'll go with Maggie as third place. Stage 2, but kind of stage 3, but stage 2 from La Nouvelle to Saint-Imier. Again, I'll put the profile up, but it's really just up and down a lot of the time. 5 category 2 climbs and a category 1 climb and a descent to the finish. That category 1 climb is probably close enough to the finish, and it's hard enough to create a bit of a GC split here. You'll probably see a lot of you probably won't see attacks, but you'll see a bit of a reduction, a bit of a speed pick up in the pace, drop. Just try and drop people. You probably won't see attacks because it's just too far to go. You'll probably see Ineos perhaps taking control here, as they would normally. Maybe Jumbo-Visma. But that probably means that if you are somebody who has a slightly faster finish and you manage to get over this, then you're going to be laughing your head off because you're going to be going up against just climbers. So it is 7.8 kilometers at 6.7%, which is difficult, but it's not unassailable. So who's a good puncher? I think that's too hard for Sagan, personally. I think it's too hard for Jake Stewart. Somebody like Mike Woods, this would be good for. Somebody like Hirschi. Hirschi would be a great option here. Maybe De Koenig could send somebody up the road earlier on, like Cavagna, Catania, Dries Devenens, something like that. Gorka Izagir might be a good option if it comes down to a sprint. And yeah, no other names are particularly like glaring out in my face. Maybe Maggie could even get over that, honestly. He honestly could. The alternative is that a breakaway will go, which is possible. But I do think it will be quite difficult. But if a solo person was to go, it would probably be maybe someone like probably a Cavagna, probably maybe Stefan Kung. He did win the Volta La Comunidad Valenciana like the other week. Maybe someone from DSM like Ilan van Wilder, Feynman Arensman, something like that. Overall, I think it's going to come down to a bit of a kick at the end. I think that Hirschi's going to hang on. I think that Hirschi will win. The other positions could go to like anybody, to be honest with you. Anybody who's got a couple of fast switch muscle fibres. G could even try to get some bonus seconds at that rate, I think. So that's stage 2 done. Stage 3 from Estlavea to Estlavea. So again, another kind of loop. I've seen people say this could be a breakaway day. Certainly could do. Some loops at the end. But the climb crests with 9 kilometers to go, and it is 2.5 kilometers at 7+%, which is not easy. That's not easy at all, and that will definitely entice perhaps some attacks late on. A break making this, I mean, it's 170 Ks. Maybe they could make it, but I'm not holding out a massive amount of hope for this. I think that more than likely this will come together maybe for an attack of like a group of 4 holding it to the line and a kick between them, and then kind of other people sprinting behind from like perhaps a sprinter group, something like that. So I think maybe a GC guy could take some time here. Somebody like Johnny Zagir, somebody like there's like a Richie Port, Masnada, perhaps like Lucas Hamilton, Mike Woods. Mike Woods especially, I think this would suit because he will have to make up time from those time trials more than likely. So he'll attack on this last climb, create a bit of a small group. That group goes to the finish. Then there's like a sprint behind. So I think, yeah, Mike Woods attacks, takes with him maybe like another GC guy who has got an incentive like Johnny Zagir. And then two other guys go with them. Again, maybe Hirschi. I'm not sure if Sagan will do that. I think he'd sit in for a sprint. I don't really know who else would go with it actually. Just somebody from DSM probably because they're just looking for stage results. Philippe Gilbert, Andreas Clone, just somebody like an opportunistic puncher. But in my eyes, I think that with the way that he looked and his form that was on the up, I think that Mike Woods will win this stage. I think he's going to attack late, create a group, and then win from the reduced group. And then from behind, I think that Sagan will probably win the bunch sprint for like a 6th place, a 5th place, something like that. If a break does go, again, probably De Koenig, you're looking at Josef Czerny, Cavagna. Who else would go in a breakaway is what I'm thinking. DSM maybe might send somebody up there, maybe like Stefan Kung, like somebody who's just a really big motor. Jesus Herrada would be kind of like a more of a puncher to get in that move. Claudio Imhoff for the Swiss like racing team as well would be another option there. But yeah, Mike Woods for stage 3 in my opinion. Stage 4, this is the Queen stage. Sion to Fion. It just goes up, just big up. It's 2,000 meters. It's 20 kilometers. It's 7 to 8%, with periods of like 10%. Very alpine. Not kind of like you see in the Vuelta with kind of steep pitching gradients, but it's just going to be a really long one for guys who have quite a good, just high functional threshold power. Somebody like, rather conveniently, Geraint Thomas, Richie Port, those guys who are good at time trialing, Stefan Krausweg, Wilco Kelderman. Yeah, those guys will really like this kind of climb. Damiano Caruso, Mike Woods, Johnny Zagir, Lopez, although, you know, this is literally his first race of the season, so maybe not. Masnada, you know, I'm not seeing any other massive names just jumping out at me, so I'm going to go with those names. Overall, I think that Ineos have to win this stage. Well, they don't have to, but it'll be really good to do it. I think that the group will split down quite fast because, especially if Ineos have Geraint and Richie Port as like leaders, like joint leaders, they'll have Amador, Dennis, and Dunbar as their domestiques, and then like I know that Dennis is good, but he's not going to last all the way. I think that Ineos will attack early. More than likely, I think Richie Port would go first, and somebody won't follow him, and G will sit on the group behind, and Richie Port will probably win. So that's what I'm going to go with. I think Richie Port will win stage 4 with an attack from quite late out. I'm thinking 7 kilometers to go, something like that. G sits in as much as you can do up a climb, and you know, the likes of Fausto Masnada, Krausweg. Krausweg will probably have Sepkus in front of him to chase back, like moves and stuff. Maybe Sepkus goes with the move. That's also a possibility. But overall, I think that Port to win, and yeah, I'm not really sure who else I'm not sure who will finish on. I think G will finish 3rd, and I think in 2nd place we'll go with. I don't think it'll be Johnny Zagir. For some reason, I just think that this climb's going to be too long. Wilco, probably not. Krausweg, no. Kuss, maybe. I'm just going to go on my gut said. Lucas Hamilton is going to finish in 2nd place. We're going to go Richie Port, Lucas Hamilton, Geraint Thomas. That's going to be the order that we have there. And then, of course, stage 5, which is the last stage, which is a bit of a shame. What's going to be really cool is that there's going to be a cobbled climb in this, which is 800 metres at 13%, so that's super. Just they've thrown in some really cool stages here. How have you organised it? It goes from Freiburg to Freiburg. Just up and down a lot, really. It really just going to be hard to get a rhythm going, but it will probably, it kind of levels off at the top. So more than likely it will still be for a TT specialist, but if you are good at riding cobbles, then you will be at an advantage here. Which makes me immediately think Stefan Kung, because of course he's a cobbled rider, does well on the cobbles, but also a great time trialist. Other names, Bissiger, of course we saw him in the classics, and you're going to have a lot of similar names to the Prologue. Ganna, Dennis, Geraint Thomas I think will be putting in a good performance here. Yeah, I think those are going to be the major names, maybe Pat Bevan as well. I think that this is going to go between the Swiss men of Bissiger and Stefan Kung. And I think I'm going to go with Stefan Kung. Stefan Kung to win the last stage, but probably by less than 5 seconds to Bissiger, in my opinion. And then Ganna will probably not do as well as people expect. I think he'll probably rock in 10 seconds behind Stefan Kung. For the overall, I think that Richie Porte is going to win. I think that Geraint Thomas will finish second. And I think that Damiano Caruso is going to finish third. Call me crazy. Call me crazy. So that's it, really. That's Tour of Romandie. Starts tomorrow. I'll try to get this video edited, uploaded as fast as I can. And of course, we'll see you in the next preview, which I believe may be Volta Algarve. It might be Volta Algarve, but if it's not, then we'll see you at the Giro d'Italia. Ciao.